Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So I'm here on Lomeric's farm. It's been a little while. It's honestly been almost a month in real time since I've been here. He's been out of town. We've had stuff going on in the world. Work's getting busier here and there. I'm gonna see what I can get going on this morning. So he said he has cotton and grapes to get done. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the cotton harvesters moving with AI, and then I'm going to go ahead, especially let me look at this, I just noticed the rain. So yeah, in 3 hours we're going to have rain. And how long is it going to rain? 4 hours. So it's going to rain for a bit. So I should have at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. So to make some actual progress, I think I'm going to try to get everything going. So he did put a new shed up, as you saw. We were actually able to get the harvester out without the gymnastics that I had last time I was here, and I had to do that. But here we go. So let's see if I go ahead and probably want to put this on the edge or close to the edge and let it start there, because what I don't know, like with course play, it'll create a course, but with this I'm honestly not sure how it will function. So I think if I go here and then can I not do? Oh boy. Well, that's not good. Because, yeah, I'm hitting H, but it's not letting me hire a worker. Well. So, yeah, that makes life interesting. So, I guess I'm going to have to... Let's see. If I pick that up and then put this down. Just trying to start... Whoops. Oh, shoot. I thought I was running, but I'm not. What is happening? Alright. Now is it working? There we go. Alright. So we'll get the GPS line set, but what I think it is, because that 543,000 is obviously me. Oops. Get on the line, because I'm obviously not driving straight. But it's possible as an FM I can't use AI on another farmer's farm on the server. So that will create a bit of a challenge here. But obviously, you know, I'll do what I can, and I'm going to keep working away. And it's just unfortunate because it's going to make a lot less progress than if I could have... What I was going to do was have the 3 harvesters start to operate here, and then start working on the grapes, which is what I've done in the past. And that way the cotton just starts flying along and everything else is working just fine. So let's see, I need automatic drop on. And it's the lag at the beginning is what we're experiencing. So not unexpected in any way. So, but yeah, that kind of throws me for a loop a little bit. So yeah, part of the situation and part of the absence, there's been several fold. I mean, to the point that I actually had Limerick asking me, am I still participating in FOC? And some of that is, again, as I think I've called out, I think he's able to tell that, like, I've not logged onto the server at all in at least a week. It might have been a couple weeks at this point. A lot of the work I was doing for a while was on Poppenberger because he was gone. So basically after, like, a couple weeks ago, he was on vacation. Limerick was, and so, you know, he was not going to be working that year. And then this year, he had been back, and he kind of was asking, hey, how are things going on the farm? And all I really told him at that point was, well, I'm not planting anything this year. And so when I asked him, like, well, what makes you think, I'm surprised you're stating, like, am I still with FOC? Like, what made you think I wasn't? And he said, well, you know, you didn't plant, and I haven't seen you on. So that you didn't plant, obviously, I told him, and I haven't seen you on is, as I said, twofold, probably. Let's see, got a lower, just kind of, it's been a bit in that, not being on this farm, so I don't want to run through any more crop if I can avoid it. I'm sure he'd appreciate that as well, if I could not be losing him any money here and there. But I'm focusing on the cotton with or without the rain. I'm focusing on the cotton because he's always said the grapes are optional. It's highly, highly unlikely I have enough time today to do both, especially if I can't do any AI. So I will do what I can with the manual work here, but you know, with the rain coming, obviously I've got a limit for sure if I get that far. But here we go, we got our first bale coming out. Now obviously there was a little bit in there already, so this isn't all from this field. Some of that was already there, but so and then he could tell I wasn't logging into the server because we can see that in the server channel. It like has all the people logged in, people logged out, and so obviously I'm sure he didn't run around and look at all the other servers. But I have been away from FOC probably for a good week to 2 weeks, because again, a year is 12 days, and basically I did my harvest back nearly 12 days ago, and then sold it in November. So last time I've been on the server here was last November, so 10 days ago. So I've straightened it out. I've explained the situation, and some of it is much more involved project at work, that kind of the time that I had been able to take advantage of while I was just handling monitoring things and so forth. It was a lot more passive work that I was able to do, or things that maybe I needed 5 minutes of intense focus to answer an email or something, and then could go back, turn the harvester around, get it running up and down the field, and so forth. And so I felt I could effectively do something in Farming Simulator during that time. Now there's more meetings or more focused time that's necessary for me, so I can't spend the same amount of time in. So that just means my time has decreased, and spreading it around other things, or just doing other things in real life or whatever, has certainly changed the amount of time in total that I've spent doing things. So there has absolutely been a decrease, but FOC's not been one of those things that I've been like, yep, I'm not interested or something. Obviously, I'm very interested in staying engaged in a good multiplayer community, which my view of that has not changed at all here. I think, I really enjoy what's going on here. I just had a situation that I've kind of been waiting till the end to chat about, because I'm not sure as I chat about it which way it's going to head and just what the discussion will be. But we had a tornado in our vicinity in town. Best we can tell, it kind of hopped around. One of the areas it hopped into was my neighborhood. We were blessed in that we missed any damage to our property really at all by about 20 feet. I've got a tree on my property line that did get ripped up pretty badly. The way the tornado went through, it threw those huge sections of tree that it did twist off, because that's really what it had done. If you look at the trees, they're not snapped. They're basically like if you took a piece of metal and twisted it around until the metal broke. It kind of is like that. It's like, it was trying to create a straight pretzel out of the tree, and then eventually the tree is like, all right, you've turned me enough times, I'm just gonna break. But you can see the curve in how things are broken off of the trees in the neighborhood that have had that experience. And that coincided about with the time when I would have needed to start thinking about planting, and I just was not in a headspace based on that to really honestly care about planting here. I was just trying to help neighbors out and just understand how close me and my family had gotten to being in the same boat that people literally next door were in, that we were trying to give some aid to. So that really took me kind of out of commission in a lot of things, partially because we had no power for a while, but for probably 4 or 5 days. So that was a big driver of why I was like, at that point, I wasn't in a headspace to get into with him why I was choosing not to plant. I just responded, I'm not planting my field this year, and kind of left it at that. And that obviously created a bit of confusion on his part. So I think I've straightened it out at this point, and so here I am. So we're back. And given that I had gotten so far ahead, as it sits right now, just, to kind of put things and set them in time and place, this is morning of September 1st, and again, you're not going to see this till almost mid-November. So I've certainly not had I had no pressure at all of, I'm going to have a gap in content, and given what was going on, I just would have had a gap in content. Channels do it all the time where they're like, sorry, I had this happen, I was gone for 3 weeks, I'm back now, da-da-da. But luckily, I usually have enough in the hopper that you don't notice that. And if I didn't tell you, you'd have no idea. But part of, what I enjoy doing, certainly if we're building community and so forth and getting to know each other, we'll let you in the door a bit of kind of what the reality is that I'm dealing with at times, so that you aren't just speculating or like, this guy's weird or he's unreliable or whatever. Again, I'm not going to say I'm 100% set, as that's why I said I kept this topic to the end, because I wanted to see how clearly I could talk through it, and just the struggle I'm having in some degree is telling me, knowing myself well enough, like I'm still not fully over what happened there, and just ready to jump in guns a-blazing and keep moving forward. So so my intent is to keep going. I find it highly, highly unlikely that there'd be any impact to this timeline, because as I said, I've got 2+ month buffer right now. If it's taking me that long to truly get through things, and nothing else happens, hopefully by then I've seen some professional help and I'm working through things and whatever. But the reality is it's more likely that it will be engagement at work and so forth that is going to make things is going to give me less time. But I don't think, again, that's going to impact what you're going to see. It's just what you're going to start to hear is, hey, I barely had time to plant my field, I haven't done any contracts, I haven't done whatever, because it's going to turn out that I'll be kind of more like someone standard who doesn't have the luxury of working from home in a way that allows me to do something that's a bit passive like this in the background. And that's really what's changing, is there's going to be less background capability at work, because there's going to be a lot more foreground attention required with what I'm doing, and that's basically supposed to run for at least the next 3 to 4 months, and that would span into the time that I don't have filled already. So there's going to be an impact, more than likely. Well, there already has been an impact, so I know there's going to be, but I don't know what I don't know. The last few days we've had half-day plus sessions. I don't know if those will continue in the future. I assume in a couple places we'll have a few more of those. So again, it may be I need to spend an hour specifically doing it, and then I've got 3 or 4 days to get something done. Like in that case, I can probably still do a decent amount of things, because again, I enjoy that ability and that kind of stress relief, because it allows me to just keep going ahead and doing this, but I can keep thinking about whatever problem it is that I have to work on. And so this doesn't require a lot of mental energy to turn the harvester around, put it on a line, and let it go. And obviously, I'm not recording. If I happen to do 3-6 hours of work in FS on a given day, I'm not recording and providing content the whole time. So if I'm not sitting there having to speak with you, then I am able to sit there and kind of do that thought, and so I'm able to effectively sorry about that. I'm splitting my energy. I'm doing a little thing on my tablet. I'm doing this. I'm talking to you, and obviously it's affecting the words coming out of my mouth. So let me turn around, get this going again. Make sure. Okay, yeah, I hadn't lifted it. I didn't think I had, but just wanted to make sure. But operating that way, not that I'm trying to justify myself to you, but in essence, explaining how I justify it to myself is, I'm working in that I'm thinking about the problem that I need to think about to continue to make progress. So it's not as if I step away for the 3 to 6 hours and, I'm being paid to be working and I'm just like ignoring it completely. So my view is, I'd be sitting there doodling on a piece of paper or staring at my screen, having the thought. So instead I'm just staring at a screen that has, today a cotton harvester running up and down it that doesn't require me to really pay much attention to it, again, other than when I need to turn it around at the end of a row. And so hopefully I am not causing a problem to the person here. And again, I do stop if I start doing that. Like if I suddenly feel like, all right, I really am having to focus on something and I keep running the harvester into a river at the end or something, or into another field, like then I'll be like, all right, I can't keep playing, I need to stop. So that is how these things interact, in case, maybe you're younger and you don't understand or whatever. I don't know. I'm just babbling in a stupid way at this point, so I'll probably end that stream of conversation. I think you understand. So, but, the reality is, to some degree, there's still a little bit of feeling inside that is what had happened when I told him, hey, I'm not planting my field. Hopefully that won't roll off the land and not be able to be picked up. I didn't hit the road, so it should be okay, I would think. It's really the first time I think I've had a bale drop at the end of a row like that. And I saw the end opening as I started to stop, but I'm like, well, I don't have to drop it on the field. It just has to be nearby. But yeah, it was a little bit, so the mental challenge I was having, like right after we went through the tornado, and kind of realized, wow, this was pretty close. And I would still say, like, I've been somewhat joking, with my family or with friends, is like, I think this still qualifies as, kind of the bucket list of I made it through a tornado, even though we didn't get hit directly. It's one of those that was like, yeah, we had some real stuff going on here, and we got through it. And now I'm distracted because I got something I never have gotten on my mobile thing before. Oh, I guess I should turn around. I think I see what's happening. Oh, sorry, it's over, so I can give you more focus now. So on the tablet I was doing something that is ultimately quite passive as well, and suddenly it came up with this bonus level that's like, suddenly I have to totally pay attention to it. Otherwise it was a time thing and whatever. I didn't realize it. I've never seen that before, but live and learn. So, now it totally distracted me from what I was talking about. Oh, yeah. So I was kind of in this headspace of I like to do these things. I was literally having these thoughts where I'm like, I normally like to play Sims, but I just want to sit here and stare at the wall. And the best I could put it as is, it's almost, not like it was survivor's guilt, but there was a little bit of how close did we come, and why was God kind enough to not have us have the damage and the mess that's going on literally 50 feet from us. The good news is there was very little house destruction for the people in our neighborhood. Flashing along the roofs were torn off a little bit. Trees that had fallen and kind of hit the house, bent gutters, maybe damaged a small piece of roof or so forth, but it's not as if we had homes obliterated or something. I don't know if that happened. The other side of town was really cordoned off for several days, so I don't know if that happened somewhere else in town. I have not seen anything. I have not heard, we've looked at news reports. I don't think anyone died or honestly was even injured. So that's all a blessing. It was just a kind of the lowest end. It was an F1 tornado, but it's still a tornado, and it's amazing to see what it had done, and to think what it must be like for folks in the center of the country, like Oklahoma and stuff, that can experience an F5 and so forth, if an F1 does what this did. And again, we feel we were kind of brushed by it, because of the homes not really being damaged. the little bit I do know that I've seen from stuff I've watched on TV, like Storm Chasers and stuff, is, tornadoes kind of drop down. They don't always make contact with the ground fully and so forth, and so we're thinking that was kind of what was happening. This was in the middle of the night. We were awake. We had heard the tornado sirens go off and so forth, but, sitting in our basement, like, we heard it was windy. That was all we heard. And then kind of in the morning, it was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then, as I said, it was really almost like a day or two before I really realized where it had hit near our property. Because the tree that I'm talking about, looking at it from the house or from the street, it looks a little strange, but it's not until you walk around behind it that you see where the 3 huge pieces of it were ripped and torn off. And then it kind of is when it hit me there, like, oh my goodness, like, this is literally just down the hill from the home, and like I said, it's about 20 feet away. Like, that's how close this thing was, and that's pretty scary. So I kind of was in that space of just like, we had made it through this trauma unscathed, and I think it was just overwhelming me a bit mentally, because I probably stayed in that space for 2 or 3 days. And so it was definitely good that I hadn't tried to do anything here, because the crop would have likely withered or not been fertilized. Something would have gotten missed, because I really didn't do much of anything other than just poke around on a tablet and watch some TV, whatever. Didn't do reading that I normally do. Just wasn't doing a lot of things that I normally spend time enjoying. And so I can't say I'm 100% out of it, but people who know me, who I've spoken with at church or whatever, or just in general in other contexts, are like, no, you seem way better than you were. So I'm taking that as a positive, that others can see that I'm behaving a little more normally. But it's not something I recommend for folks. And I say that obviously totally sarcastically and a little dark humor jokingly, but yeah. It messes with you, because I consider myself pretty resilient, pretty stable, and this threw me for a loop for sure. And obviously, a week plus out now, I'm still not fully through it. But I'm getting there, and part of it is just, getting back and getting into the swing of things. I just wish I could use AI, because I really feel like the dent I'm going to be able to make here for Lomeric is going to be very minimal. I probably only have, I have less than an hour of clear runway space, and then things all fall to the whims of real life again. So, I may not even get this field done. There's also some work on Poppenberger, so I'll definitely be doing that to make some money, but at this point, like, the 543,000, I'm probably close enough that I could buy the truck and the trailer that I'm looking to do. So that was also part of why I decided not to plant, was I knew I was running short, and because I had not been on for a while and not done any work, and some of it was there wasn't available work. I didn't get contacted by folks randomly, as I have for most of the time on here. So again, whether they were stepping back or they were handling it or whatever, that kind of also dried up at the same time. So I look at it more from the optimistic point of view, that it was just, God clearing the decks of things happening, and so that I'm not feeling even more guilty, like, oh, this person really needed help, and I've helped them 4 or 5 times in the past, and now I've got to let them down, type of thing. And that, it would have just made me more depressed and feeling more sad about not doing things that I normally was doing. But you know, it gave me the space to kind of just deal with the trauma around the tornado and stuff like that was happening. So, so that's about it, but I'm going to keep going here. I'm sure I've probably already created almost half an hour of babble here. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of the babble. Again, as always, happy to chat, so comment down below and I'll share as I can and talk about stuff as I can. And then, you know, but other than that, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to wrap this up. And as I said, you know, it's just going to be more of running up and down a field. So we're harvesting field 78, which is the giant one on Poppenberger, and then dropping straw and so forth. So it's some sort of grain. I don't even know that I know what he planted up there. You know, so then there would be straw collection at some point and all of that, and whether he does that on his own or whatever, but the instructions when I looked on the sheet this morning was harvest 78 and drop straw. It might have said collect straw, I don't know. So I may try to do that as well. It's frankly frustrating that I can't do the AI here, because I just feel like it's almost pointless for me to do anything, because when Lomeric gets on later today, I know, having done these, like, all these cotton fields can be done in 2 to 3 hours. So if he has that space in the evening, like, he doesn't really even need me to do this. So part of it is I want to feel useful, and not like I'm just kind of taking advantage of the opportunity. So anyway, I'm going to spend the time where I can. I just don't know how much that is, but I'm going to definitely run this field for a bit, and then you know, that'll help with the coffers and that'll help move things forward. But my intent right now is certainly to try to do something on my fields next year, and go from there and continue forward. So hope you've enjoyed this dive into the mature simmer black hole of my mind, of where it's been a little bit, going through a little bit of a personal trauma, but again, not nearly as crazy as it could have been. Is it on? No, yeah, okay, I just didn't have it lowered. So confusing with cotton harvesters, because it looked like it was down, but then I saw it was moving too fast. So anyway, if I keep going, as always, I'll just go on for another hour, because there's always something going on. But I'm going to wrap this up, and I will see you next time.